Mark I gun carrier, the world's first self-propelled gun. The Mark I gun carrier was a British vehicle from the First World War and was the world's first modern self-propelled gun. The Mark I set the precedent for a range of self-propelled guns that would see widespread service in World War II and beyond. With the advent of the Mark I tank in 1916, British engineers looked into other applications of their invention with an eye towards breaking the stalemate of World War I trench warfare. One such variant was the Mark I gun carrier, the first tracked, self-propelled gun in history. Development. Designed by Major John Gregg, an engineer at tank manufacturer Metropolitan Carriage, Wagon and Finance, the carrier was based on a lowered tank chassis with a bed to accommodate a British BL 5-inch field cannon or 6-inch howitzer, their respective wheels removed and mounted along the carrier's hull. Transporting the artillery piece to the field, the carrier crew could remove it by means of a pivoting cradle and 2 winding drums and remount it on its wheels. However, the howitzer was technically able to be fired from inside the carrier. Major Gregg and his team completed a prototype in time for Tank Trials Day at Oldbury on March 3, 1917, and the Army immediately placed an order for 50 gun carriages with Kitson & Co. in Leeds. Specs. The Mark I gun carrier had a crew of 4 plus a gun crew of 8 and weighed about 31 tons if equipped with the howitzer and 60 rounds of ammunition. It had a Daimler petrol engine developing 105 horsepower and could move at a sprightly 3.7 miles per hour. The vehicle had some armour and carried a machine gun for protection. It was capable of crossing trenches over 11 feet wide and would prove to be reasonably mobile in the conditions of the Western Front. The Mark I gun carrier in action. In July, the Army formed 2 companies, each with 24 gun carriers. They first saw action at Cambrai in November 1917. There is no record of a carrier crew ever firing its gun in combat, which seems a pity, but we do know that they performed sterling frontline service as supply vehicles and troop carriers. As supply tanks, the gun carriers had much greater capacity than converted Mark I and Mark IV tanks, being able to transport over 7 tons of supplies at a time, and were thus in constant demand. 2 were equipped with cranes for salvage work. Battle of Hamel. At the Battle of Hamel, 4 July 1918, Captain James Smith led 4 vehicles of the 1st Gun Carrier Company forward in support of Australian troops, with about 25 tons of engineer stores to within 400 yards of the final objective, within 30 minutes of its capture. As the vehicles returned, the crews picked up 70 wounded soldiers and transported them to a dressing station. Legacy. As slow and ungainly as it was, the Mark I gun carrier set the precedent for a range of self-propelled weaponry that would see widespread use among all the armies in World War II and up to the 21st century. If you enjoyed learning about the Mark I gun carrier, please take a moment to subscribe and hit that bell notification. Bye for now, and hope to see you again soon.